What's going on, everybody? This is a segment from the Nerdgasm Talk podcast. If you like podcasts, well, why don't you come join us as the crew gets silly and Philly while we sit to talk about the latest in comics, games, movies, and all things pop culture. You guys can listen to our whole show on all the podcasts apps. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys get your podcasts from. And make sure you guys also support the channel by subscribing to the Nerd Coalition Studios. And for the gaming needs, make sure you subscribe to Nerd Coalition Level Up. This is the Nerd Coalition. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And now, feel the Nerdgasm. Me and Power was hyped because the Michael Jackson estate was about to drop some big news. Mm-hmm. The first news I heard, there was a rumor that me and Power was really about to be upset about. Like, we thought they had a casting thing already. Okay. And the rumor was they had picked the boy that played Little Ricky in the New Edition movie. I said, no.
Little Ricky.
Remember, Elijah Kelly was older Ricky. Yeah. So it was, the younger one. I was just like, he looks something like Michael.
Stranger Things? Or was he somebody else?
Is it the one from Stranger Things Prime Time?
Yeah, he's the black dude in Stranger Things.
Okay, yeah, that's a complete miscast, but sure.
No, I said no, but that wasn't it. The news was that they finally got a director, and the director comes Antoine Fuqua, or if I pronounce the name wrong, please tell me. Fuqua is now going to be the one that's going to direct the Michael Jackson biopic called Michael. That's all it's going to be called. Now,
still need a different name to me, but okay.
Oh, I mean, I gotta say, well, it's playing different things. We could probably call the
King of Pop
biopic.
The biopic, so like that. Me personally,
I couldn't see it being called the King of Pop. It was sanctioned by his estate because he didn't seem to be all too fond of.
Yeah, the King of Pop.
The King of Pop title.
I would like the King of Pop. I was like, no. I would say it's
something other than Michael just.
Well, I'm just saying it's nothing wrong with a name because most big biopics. I mean, other than like, okay, the one for Queen was Bohemian.
You know how many Michaels there are?
Huh?
You know how many iconic Michaels there are though?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mike Tyson TV show name is Mike.
It's called because they call him Mike Tyson. They don't call him Michael Tyson. They call him Mike Tyson.
But I'm saying it's Mike. But I'm saying like it's just not original. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Or maybe they want to call it MJ. But I mean, but I think people could make the distinction. They were talking different between Michael Jordan, and Michael Jackson.
Okay, call it Moonwalk.
I understand that. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like there are things that are connected, like that are distinctive about a person, that you could use as the title of the film. Bohemian Rhapsody, popular Queen song. I Want to Dance with Somebody, popular Whitney song. I don't know. I just...
They call it Billie Jean.
You don't gotta call it Billie Jean.
Call it Thriller. Yeah, Thriller.
I like the idea of Moonwalk, but either that. So we got the director.
We already got a Moonwalker, so I guess it was like, no, we can't do that.
He got enough songs to make Smooth Criminals. Like he got enough songs to make a movie.
That's not. I think that would be a swing and a miss for him.
Well, so he got enough.
Well, I'm on thevulture.com and it was sitting here saying that fans of staying down the edges of complicated historical figures should be thrilled. Get it? I was like, why did you try to write that joke? Because the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody and the writer of The Aviator have turned their eyes to Michael Jackson. They're actually reporting that the Emancipation director Antoine Fuqua is go to direct a biopic about the pop superstar - alleged criminal. Which I was just like, I'm not even liking the way this thing is even going in the.
It's obviously a slant.
Yeah.
Real quick, did y'all see Elvis?
I did see Elvis.
I swear. Let me not say I swear, but if they do this movie Elvis style, and that the guy that was playing Elvis is Jermaine Jackson in this case, I'm not watching this movie.
Wait, what? You talking Austin Butler?
No, the guy that played Tom Hanks, like the guy that Tom Hanks was in Elvis for his movie. Jermaine Jackson is the same guy.
Well, no, they're not going to have a Jermaine Jackson style. I don't think they're going to do the movie like that.
I don't, but I'm saying like
I think what he's saying is if they run it like a Judas and the Black Messiah type of thing. This movie is clearly supposed to be about Fred Hampton.
But I remember when Mike was 12 years old. I'm not. Come on.
So okay, well, we do know that Antoine Fuqua has a good resume of movies.
I'm still wondering how we got to this conclusion, though. Me
personally, I truly think that they wanted a director of color.
There are tons of those.
I he wasn't my pick.
I understand. I'm just saying. That's why I wonder. I mean, I wonder in general how we get to directors for films. Because I don't know much about the film industry.
Yeah.
Well, I think they picked him because, for one, he's very cheap. Because he don't really do movies; he do music videos.
Well, can't say that because he just got that Academy, like they fishing for Oscars when it came to Emancipation, which I heard was pretty good.
Which is kind of funny because
that's his first movie though, right?
No.
He did Antoine Fisher, Training Day,
all the Equalizers. Like he has.
Did he produce them or did he?
No, he directed them.
I mean, directed. Okay.
He's not known.
I'm thinking about writing. I'm thinking about writing. Sorry.
He's not known for videos first. The first time I ever heard Antoine Fuqua's name was Antoine Fisher.
Yeah.
Hey, we getting the Michael Jackson fight scene though. Like,
I don't know. That's kind of why I was just like, I don't know how they arrived at this particular choice. I'm not saying he's a bad director.
I mean, let's see, he did Bait. Oh, I know he did Bait also. He did The Replacement Killers.
Like back in the day, Bait?
Yes.
Wow.
He did Training Day, Tears of the Sun, King Arthur.
He must just know somebody that's in Michael's estate. And it was like, yeah, buddy, you can come on.
Shooter. He did Olympus Has Fallen, which in my personal thing, that's the best one out of all the Fallen movies. Mm-hmm. Olympus Inc. because London Has Fallen is the worst. But he did that one, The Equalizer, The Magnificent Seven, Southpaw.
Low-key?
Huh?
Somebody who I'm saying low-key, somebody who I wouldn't mind doing it, who I think could do a good job. Questlove.
Yes.
That you know what that was actually a good pick.
Questlove is has 86 jobs right now though, so I don't know if he would have signed on for a project of this magnitude. Antoine
Fuqua, he claimed that he was very honored and happy to do this project, and every time he says that if I'm saying it wrong, which I probably am, but he was happy to take this job, and then he admires Michael Jackson, knows what Michael Jackson has done for music and black music. Of course, this is stuff they say in his article. Now I'm going to ask you guys, because with there being a Michael movie, they are claiming from the reports that I am reading that this plans on being we going through the range of Michael's life here.
Okay.
As the sources say, the film will highlight Jackson's musical accomplishments, starting with his early days in the Jackson 5 all the way to his ascension to as a pop star juggernaut. Lionsgate confirmed that the film will address all aspects of Jackson's life, including allegations of child sexual abuse. The film has been in development since 2019, but production will begin later this year after Fuqua wraps up with The Equalizer 3.
Bro, we don't care about your crappy movie with Denzel. Get to Michael, bro.
Us.
So I want to say this.
I'm not going to sit there and say the man who's directing Michael to say we won't care about your crappy movie because he makes another crappy movie. We ain't gonna be happy.
This is the thing. Okay, so what I was trying to get to a little bit ago was I don't know how people get movies, because I imagine that kind of like how actors can get typecast.
Yeah.
I feel like directors do things along the same line. Some people have great range, but some people do the same movies.
Yeah.
Michael Bay. That's not like a shot at him, but that's his thing. That's his jam. I don't know. In the list of things you just named, doing a musical like biopic just doesn't seem like the next in line, I would think, from like the Antoine Fuqua. But that's neither here nor there, because if he's a decent director, he can do that. The thing that I the issue I have with biopics, period, it seems to work better if you do a time period. Unless you're going to have a 3-hour movie, and, you know, things that get left on the cutting room floor, or an extended version, trying to tell the story, the full story of somebody's life from the time basically they was born until either up until the current time or they died, I don't know if it ever really works out right.
I agree.
I think the last one to do good was NWA, probably.
The reason I say I agree and disagree is because it depends on the person's life. Because you got aspects of people's lives, famous people's lives, that it's just honestly like there's a part in their life that's just like, all right, you can document it, but it's kind of boring, or it's kind of like this ain't gonna sell. Like we can really kind of bypass this part and focus on really the main thing. Like say they went like you just said, NWA. They had the whole movie about the whole life, and I felt as though that was a really good 2.5 hour, 2 hour 40-minute movie that summed it all up in one big thing. Because I know there's always going to be something in a biopic that somebody's going to get mad that they didn't put in there.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you had to sit there and think about it. Okay, like, you know, what does this other than help educate and help do these kind of? Because the first thing you hear, a lot of people are going to hear about, you hear Michael Jackson documentaries. They said, are they going to address these child allegations?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like they would. There's no reason that it's a big part of his life, unfortunately. But it's no reason why you can't address that. I'm just saying, for somebody who had so much going on, like a lot of people, if you think about it, aren't child stars that successfully spin off into have not even just an adult career, an iconic career at that. You're talking about somebody who has been in the industry since he was like 5 years old, up until he literally passed away. That's a very large span of time, and a lot of things that happen. Because if you want to really get into his life, you really do have to show the buildup of how they, them as the Jackson 5. You probably should show the group effectively dissolving, and then him having, Off the Wall, which we all love now, but in light of his other albums probably would seem like not as successful. And then you got to talk about how huge Thriller was and all the shit that happened behind the scenes with that, because how do you have an album that huge and not have an actual official tour? Up until, even if you just do from the time of Jackson 5 up until Dangerous and then the allegations, that's a large span of time.
It is a large.
You could tell a story from just that, and then but you still got to talk about the last 15 years after that.
I think. Probably you want to add anything to that before I get into my thought?
You can go first.
Okay, so here's my thing. I think, I know it's not going to happen. This is just my theory. It'll be like, we're going to start in 1978. Because I think what you want to do, because see, me personally, I figured Spike Lee will always do this movie.
I honestly thought so as well.
I always thought that now him bringing a Questlove was a really good, point. And I said, like I said, there's a lot of black film directors out there, but I don't want no Tim Story touching this.
Okay, no, I don't want to say that.
Okay, I'm saying,
if John Singleton was around, I would have loved for him to have done this.
You know what I'm saying? But the way that Spike Lee knows Michael Jackson, even with that book you just got me, and how he has a whole chapter, like kind of like dedicated. He says these are the short films I directed because of how Michael Jackson taught me how to look at music videos. Like he played a big part in his life. Yeah. So I figured that and after he already did two great, and I don't even need to get on Thriller 40, two great documentaries that was very insightful about the workings of the albums. I felt as though I'm like, if they want to do a Michael movie, Spike Lee has known before that somebody that has a huge life like this will be able to tell a good story, but also tell pain. Like, the reason why I say Spike Lee, because we all see Malcolm X.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, Malcolm X is not going to be a person that people are going to naturally gravitate to. But you have to explain why this man is the way he is and what change came from afterwards. That's like, everybody just knows, like, when we were just watching The Godfather Harlem, and he was like, oh, that must be Radical Malcolm. But you know him as different sections.
Yeah. That's
sometimes as all people know him as. There is no telling of the story. And unfortunately, we all in this podcast are Michael Jackson fans, but there are a huge amount of people out there that as soon as you say Michael Jackson's name, he's a child molester. Yeah. And the thing is, and the only thing people really want to see in the movie, be honest with you, unfortunately, it's like, you know, but people hate watch. They just want to see, like, I want to see him in the bed touching kids, right?
Absolutely, and that's weird.
That I'm saying that is what I'm saying, but that's not, people are weird like that. But to the point is, but you have to understand the man's life, and I'm not sitting here excusing, because first of all, like I said, the man has already been found not guilty. And like I said, and then when it comes, we're not even gonna compare this to R. Kelly.
Listen, you know how folks get.
Yeah.
I'm not. Some people will run with it to the end of time.
And to the end of time, and like I said, but when it comes to the way he looks, the way his skin changed, the way he acts, the way he carries himself, all that stuff is, you're not just born like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, there's layers to it.
Yeah.
And there's also layers to the way that people will perceive him and how much grace they're willing to grant him because of those other things.
Yeah.
You know, if Michael was still brown skinned Michael, people might have still been riding for, like, they be riding for R. Kelly.
Yeah.
If we being completely honest here. That's a real factor in the way that people perceive him. Whether they like to think so or not, subconsciously you may judge him because of that. Yeah. Because you don't necessarily have somebody in your life, you know, your everyday life that would have vitiligo, and it also, if they did have the resources to be fully covered in caked on makeup, to be like, okay, so I'm going to try and control what the change is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see how it turns out. I've been, I don't want to say, I guess disappointed would be the word, but we haven't gotten a good Michael Jackson one. But it feels like whenever somebody tries to do a biopic of, like, recent era stars, it just don't go well. NWA is the first one I think that was any good.
But I
lately,
I think when it comes to these biopics, okay, for you and Prime, think about all the good biopics that we like, right? New Edition, Temptations, the Jackson American Dream. I like it.
All of the or miniseries.
No. Wait, listen to what I'm saying now. I said about miniseries, but I'm just talking about, but still, we still say Temptations movie, okay? And with all the stuff like that. And then when we go to Straight Outta Compton, or we get movies like that, one thing those things have in common, especially like the New Edition story, is the flaw. A lot of times with these biopics is they uplift the person with rose-colored glasses so much that they keep forgetting they're a human being, because sometimes their flaws help explain who they are. It's not a bad thing to acknowledge a flaw of somebody.
I agree with that. I'm just saying, but that's not the only thing, though. It really depends on how the movie's written, directed, produced, the people you pick to play them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about, even though we say Notorious was okay, it wasn't like, you know, the best biopic we've ever seen.
Falcon.
What happened?
He said Falcon.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, come on. It is a glaring, I don't want to say oversight, because that's not what it was. It's ridiculous that you write this movie. We trying to tell the life of this. One, we don't even have that big of a span of time to be telling the life of Biggie. He was in his mid-20s when he died. So you really should have. There was nothing really to fuck up with this. All you had to do was tell the actual story, and y'all went out and casted Clarence as Tupac.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing? What do y'all be doing? Like these
I felt
people.
so they put a little more of their effort in the Biggie side opposed to the Tupac side.
No, but even still, it's just sometimes it feels like these movies feel like a caricature, and it's like this is somebody's real life, and yes, we want people to kind of look like them and have their mannerisms and things, but you need to. I just feel like biopics, it's either really good or it really sucks. I can't really say there's many middle of the road ones, and it's kind of like you gotta knock it out the park with somebody as big as Michael Jackson. Look how many times we've tried to do a Tupac type movie. We tried Biggie once, which wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. And then it's just, I don't know. I'll wait to see a trailer or something like that. I think it is unfortunate that we couldn't get somebody who seemed to have more of a connection to Michael Jackson, because there are tons of people around that knew this man, like that work in this industry and could have contributed. I'm presuming that with both Spike and like Aquesla, they both are doing a bunch of different projects and things. Probably didn't have the time.
Maybe, or I don't know if they would turn down Mike in the first place.
But you can't just up and change what you already are. It's already in production. Money you've already thrown into things. So you can change course and go do this kind of deal. But I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
For we do it. Got like your thoughts, because Antoine Fuqua is going to direct this. Do you have any high hopes of how they're going to portray it, or are they just going to be like trash? Because you just told me you didn't like the "I Want to Dance with Somebody" movie.
I didn't like it because of how jumbled around it was. It wasn't like one complete story. So like, if they could find a story and stay to it, then it might be okay. But like the Whitney story was just all over the place, and it was just so distorted. And you can tell that the family was a part of it. You can obviously tell. So with this, hopefully they just give us a story. I don't like starting from the beginning because there's so much to get to. And I mean, look, I'm not this person to say do it like this, but Bohemian Rhapsody, the amount of people like it or hate it, had a good formula to it.
It did.
And it ended with a big performance of Live Aid. They had more performances after that, but like, it's like, how can you get better than Live Aid? I mean, like, for Mike has a perfect ending performance at the 30th anniversary. I mean, other than that, obviously he did more shows and stuff, but it's like, where would you end it? Like, that's the biggest place.
That's the unfortunate part is you won't be able to end it with music. If you're going to talk about the allegations,
no. I'm talking about performance-wise. That's the last performance, but no, it won't end with music. No,
you could technically end it with music. You could technically end it with "This Is It." I don't know if this is what you want to end it with, but
or him in person.
That was, but that
and showing up to the Staples Center.
I don't know. That was like the end there. Like that's what was going on. Because you can't stop at the 30th anniversary because the trial.
No, I'm talking as far as music is concerned. Like that'll be like the last performance, and the rest of it, 20 or whatever minutes. It's just like, or maybe even the last whatever it is. It's just gonna be like the struggles or whatever. Then and everything, him coming back and all that kind of stuff. It's gonna be that, but
it's gonna be hard. Like I said, I don't think. I think when we hear the Jackson 5 stuff, I really don't think they had to really retell that whole story because we know it's going to death.
We do
a lot, and I'm just saying, and you can go from 78 and do flashbacks. You can do that, but it's like, okay, this is 1978, and that's like when the years like we still got the Jacksons. Jermaine is gone. I meet Quincy Jones, to produce, and we get off the wall track, and then but also 1978 is when a lot of personal problems started happening.
Yeah.
Maybe when first sight of vitiligo, he breaks his nose and gets nose surgery because he fell off the stage, and that happened in 78 or 79. And when you have these different things that like this is what starts this transition going on down. If you illustrate that, and then with flat like I'm not saying this, you can have a scene of him looking on his hand. He's like, "What the hell is this?" And it could be, you know, like him frantically trying to cover it up, which goes into a flashback of his dad telling him how you need to look on stage or how you need to look in front of your fans and things like that. Because it's like, okay, there's trauma there.
Well, look, when we get to the opening credits, if it say executive producer Jermaine Jackson, did I know what I'm in for?
Oh yeah, we fucked up.
Yes, exactly. Cut this off.
I know what I'm in for.